Hello. Today I'm diving into Pride and Prejudice and zombies. Picture this: Victorian balls where romance hides a horde of brain-hungry zombies, love, daggers, and chaos, ready to find out who survives. The film opens with a narration explaining that it all began in the 19th century when England plunged into global trade. At first, everything was splendid. The country was flooded with exotic spices and goods. But one day, a virus slipped into the nation, turning people into zombies. This wave of the undead was unstoppable. Soldiers who fought against them eventually swelled the ranks of the dead. The remnants of humanity hid behind massive walls. Meanwhile, work began on the Royal Canal, a colossal moat 60 meters deep, encircling the city's walls. The area between the two fortifications was called the Borderland. But in the Second War against the zombies, they wiped out every soul in the Borderland. It's said the king lost his mind upon witnessing this and destroyed all bridges except one. The Hingim Bridge remains the only structure crossing the canal to this day. Wealthy elites, believing the war was won, returned to their fortified estates. It's in one such estate that we find Darcy. After being checked for bites, he's allowed to join the others. The estate's matriarch, Miss Featherstone, is playing cards with guests and tells Darcy that no zombies have been seen on her land for ages. Darcy expresses his desire to join the game. As soon as he sits down, he pulls out a vial of flies. These creatures can detect dead flesh. The flies buzz through the room and settle on a man in the early stages of infection. Darcy swiftly kills him and asks if the man could have infected anyone else. The woman says no. After this conversation with Featherstone, Darcy leaves, but her daughter is clearly hiding something and rushes off to check on the man's niece, who is also turned into a zombie and attacks everyone in sight. Meanwhile, Bennet is training his daughters in survival skills for their new world. His wife, however, disapproves. She believes the girls should focus on proper pursuits, not battle training, especially with a ball approaching. Many of the girls are thrilled by the news of the ball, but Elizabeth couldn't care less. At the ball, Bingley falls for Jane and dances with her. He even suggests Darcy pick a partner, like Elizabeth, and join the dance. Darcy calls her beautiful, but says that's not enough for him to continue the evening. Elizabeth overhears this and tries to leave, accidentally dropping a bottle. She doesn't notice an infected Featherstone approaching, about to speak, when Darcy kills her. The crowd rushes toward the commotion, as do other infected. This is where the skills Bennet taught his daughters come into play. Darcy is stunned by what he sees and begins to fall for Elizabeth. The next day, Jane receives an invitation from Bingley for a date. She's given a horse, but on her way to Bingley, she encounters a zombie. The horse panics and throws Jane to the ground. Jane's firearm misfires, but her dagger proves far more effective. Before she can catch her breath, another zombie emerges from the forest. A day passes, and Elizabeth arrives at Bingley's estate because Jane has fallen ill. Darcy suspects it might be more than a common flu and releases his flies, which don't land on her. The following day, the rest of the sisters arrive with their mother. Darcy reminds them that Jane could still be infected. The mother convinces Bingley to organize a ball to lift everyone's spirits. Later, we learn that the girls' family includes an uncle, Collins, who will inherit their lands after Bennet's death. He's clearly interested in Jane, but the mother says she's already taken. He'd do better to consider Elizabeth. Soon after, in the forest, they stumble upon an overturned carriage. Cries for help echo from within, but it's a zombie. As the girls deal with the threat, Collins awkwardly watches from the sidelines, refusing to carry a weapon and leaving everything to them. The action shifts to the city, where a new squad of soldiers has arrived. They're tasked with guarding the city due to the rising number of infected in the area. They're led by Lieutenant Wickham, who strikes up a conversation with Elizabeth. Darcy sees this and leaves without speaking to her. At the evening ball, Elizabeth wants to approach Wickham, but Collins drags her away. Even when Darcy offers to dance, Collins ruins it again. Elizabeth runs into Bingley, and as they talk, they hear a strange noise. Peeking behind a door, they witness a zombie killing a servant. The pair arms themselves and heads to clear the room, but as soon as they enter, zombies attack Bingley, and he falls. Elizabeth sees a horde of infected. One of them says their new friend let them in, but Darcy interrupts, slaughtering the infected. He thinks Bingley was bitten and prepares to finish him off, but Elizabeth stops him, explaining he merely fell down the stairs. A new day dawns. Collins proposes to Elizabeth, but she flatly refuses. Her father supports her, but her mother does not. Unwilling to endure the family's protests, Elizabeth heads into the forest, where she spots 4 suspicious men with birds circling above them. At that moment, Wickham calls out to her, and when she turns, the 4 men vanish. He tells Elizabeth there was no one there and offers to show her an incredible place. He takes her to a church, but everyone inside is already a zombie. The priest gives them pig brains, which keeps the zombies from attacking Elizabeth. Wickham believes peace with them is possible. She wants to tell the king, but Wickham says it's pointless. He wants to spread this ideology to the masses, as the war has already bankrupted the nation, and zombies outnumber humans. Days later, one of the girls tells Elizabeth she's engaged to Collins and asks her to be a companion for a visit to his relatives. At Collins' estate, Elizabeth sees a painting of Catherine slaying monsters alongside 4 men in hats. They look strikingly like the men in the forest. There, she learns Darcy is Catherine's relative. Catherine thinks befriending zombies is absurd and refuses to fund Wickham. Collins, meanwhile, says he read that the Antichrist will lead the undead, implying Wickham's ideas are nonsense. Darcy agrees. Late that night, Wickham sneaks into the estate and begs Elizabeth to run away with him. When she refuses, he warns that a day of reckoning is coming. The next day, Darcy confesses that Elizabeth means something to him. A small scuffle ensues, during which Elizabeth says she won't be with him. Later, in a final letter, Darcy describes his life and reveals that Wickham is a bad person. Still, he hopes Elizabeth will one day change her mind. For now, he must leave to defend the capital from a new zombie attack. Soon after, zombies infiltrate the capital, and their attacks are unlike before. Someone is helping them. An outbreak in London swells the zombie horde 100-fold. Their goal now is to prevent anyone from crossing the Great Wall. Otherwise, humanity is doomed. At the same time, Elizabeth notices her sister is missing and suspects Wickham took her to the church. That same day, Catherine visits Elizabeth. She says Darcy will marry her daughter, but Elizabeth could wed him first. Elizabeth is unsure how to respond. Catherine promises to protect her family if Elizabeth finds Darcy. Elizabeth and her sister arrive at the last bridge. Soldiers warn that they'll blow it up to stop the zombie invasion of the capital. Undeterred, the girls press on. They soon find Bingley and Darcy. The ground is littered with the living dead, forcing them to spend time fighting them off. Later, Darcy says the church was destroyed days ago, and her sister is likely dead. But this is a lie. He doesn't want Elizabeth to die and heads to the church himself. At the entrance, the men from the forest are letting zombies inside. Elizabeth notices Bingley glancing toward the church and realizes Darcy lied. Darcy finds Lydia and a plan to infect the capital. Wickham is behind it all. Seeing this, Wickham fires a shot, hitting a grate. The noise draws zombies, giving Darcy time to escape. Outside, he puts the girl on a horse and stays behind to kill Wickham. But when he deals a fatal blow, Wickham survives. He's been a zombie for a long time. His hunger for flesh is outweighed by his desire for revenge against Darcy. Wickham declares that the 4 men are the horsemen of the apocalypse, whom he will lead into battle. But Elizabeth interrupts, cutting off Wickham's arm and whisking Darcy away, just as the bridge is destroyed. A few days later, they marry, but their happiness is cut short when they see Wickham charging with zombies. And a new arm. With that, the film ends. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.